This is Dakota Ridge, and if you're thinking about buying real estate in this neighborhood, here's what you need to know: the good and the bad. Hey everyone, I'm Osmond with House Einstein, and I've been a realtor here in Boulder for nearly 20 years, representing buyers and sellers. Our mission is to help you understand market conditions, neighborhood factors, due diligence, all to help you make a smarter real estate decision. Okay, first things first. Dakota Ridge is the most northern neighborhood in the city of Boulder, and it's surrounded by open space on three sides. And when we're talking about the neighborhood, we're actually talking about several subdivisions. We're talking about Dakota Ridge and Dakota Ridge Village. We're talking about North Briar Estates and Trail Crossing. Property types and valuations. Construction in the neighborhood began in the 90s and continued into the 2010s. Today you'll find townhomes, duplexes, and single-family houses in Dakota Ridge. You'll also find a variety of architectural styles: traditional homes, contemporary homes, and sleek modern design. Now, from a valuation perspective, the homes that front on the open space sell for a substantial premium. In normal years, it's 10% or more, but at times when inventory is constrained and there's tremendous buyer demand, that premium can exceed 20%, especially if it's a home with a spectacular view, which many of the homes that front on the open space enjoy. Okay, so let's talk about what's good. Number one, because the homes in this neighborhood are much newer, they're far better designed for today's living than what you'll find throughout the rest of Boulder, which was designed in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. And not only that, there's less risk of environmental issues like lead-based paint and asbestos. Number two, this phenomenal open space. Dakota Ridge is surrounded by open space on three sides. To the south, you've got access to Wonderland Lake, and to the north, you have access to Boulder Valley Ranch. And Boulder Valley Ranch is among the first to dry out after it rains or snows, which means whether you're a hiker or a runner, it's accessible year-round. Number three, the mix of restaurants and shops that are easily accessible from this neighborhood should continue to get better. And that's because North Boulder has a sub-community plan, unlike any other part of the city of Boulder. That should ensure that that mix gets better over time. Number four, even though we are far north in the city of Boulder, our community is continuing to invest in infrastructure that makes it easier to get around the city, and particularly easier by bicycle. And right now, the city of Boulder is redeveloping Broadway. And when that project's complete, it should dramatically improve the connectivity from Dakota Ridge to points south, including downtown. Number five, cycling routes. Not only are some of the best cycling routes easily accessible from this neighborhood, both the flats and the climbing routes, a lot of the rides are organized just south of here. This is a really big deal if you're a cyclist. Okay, so now let's talk about what's not so good about Dakota Ridge. Number one, lot size. Most of the homes in the neighborhood are the epitome of large homes on small lots. And that results in a feeling of cloisteredness between the neighbors. In other words, it's not as private as many other neighborhoods in the city of Boulder, and those lot sizes result in very small backyards. That means less space to entertain and enjoy as a homeowner. Number two, Dakota Ridge is tucked in behind industrial and mixed use on Broadway. And although that's improving over time, it's the least appealing entrance to any neighborhood in Boulder. Right now, there's a lot of workshops, there's storage, there's industrial use, and it is not exactly what most people are looking for when they enter into the neighborhood. It doesn't leave a good first impression. Number three, the mix of restaurants and shops. I mentioned it's improving, but right now it's not very good. Most of the best restaurants and shops are downtown, and you'll be hopping your car to access that. And that's the reality of living in this neighborhood. It's car dependent. There's no major grocery store nearby. That's just part of the deal for owning in Dakota Ridge. Number 4, and I'm not sure other realtors are going to tell you about this, but it's a really big deal. There's significant development in the works or almost complete just to the south of this neighborhood. When the Armory comes online and residents can move in and the planning reserve is developed, that's going to dramatically increase the amount of traffic on the roads that serve this neighborhood, which is going to mean a lot more time in the car to get downtown or to DIA, or if your job is to the south of here, in Denver or in the tech corridor. Number 5, because open space surrounds Dakota Ridge on 3 sides and the neighborhood effectively juts into the open space, it makes it much more susceptible to wildfire. Just last year, homes burned just to the north of here due to the wildfires that came down from the mountains. So if you're buying in this neighborhood, that's something you absolutely should know before you sign on the dotted line. Okay, so that's the good and the bad, the pros and the cons. And now I'm going to talk about something that's neither, but it's a little bit of a political issue. And that's the proximity of the homeless shelter to Dakota Ridge. The shelter is on the southeast side of the neighborhood. And it's probably a non-factor for people that live here, because most people that utilize the services at the shelter are going south to downtown. There's no retail here in the neighborhood, so there's really no draw or magnet for people to come into this neighborhood from the shelter. But if you're sensitive to that, if it's a concern of yours, I think it's really important to understand the issue and explore it for yourself. Okay, so those were the pros and cons of buying in Dakota Ridge, of this neighborhood. If you like the video, click like and subscribe. You may also want to check out our newsletter. You'll find it at houseeinstein.com. Every week we cover the newest listings to hit the market and recent notable sales, all designed to help educate you so that you can make a smarter real estate decision. I'm Osmond with House Einstein, and I'll catch you next time.